Heyo, welcome back to our channel. The Adventures of Jimmy Neutron, the Boy Genius, is one of the most beloved cartoon series set in the fictional town of Retroville. It follows the adventures of a young boy named Jimmy Neutron, who is exceptionally intelligent and possesses a remarkable talent for inventing all sorts of gadgets and gizmos. The series has a total of 61 episodes that are spread across 3 seasons. Today we'll cover the entire series from start to finish, so kick back and enjoy. In the first episode, Jimmy Neutron's invention accidentally causes his friends in the town's pants to go rogue. Chaos ensues as they attempt to control more pants, leading to embarrassing situations for everyone. With the help of fabric softener and static cling, Jimmy eventually saves the day. However, his mom, Judy, punishes him by making him pick up all the scattered pants in town. Jimmy's attempt to make orange juice goes haywire, creating chaos in the kitchen and launching objects into space, including a meteorite set to collide with Earth. Thinking that his intelligence only harms others, he uses an invention to temporarily make himself less smart. Meanwhile, Cindy, Jimmy's rival, resents Jimmy's constant attention in class. When a meteorite threat emerges, Jimmy's friends must restore his intelligence to save the day. Cindy takes charge, fixes the brain drain helmet, and helps Jimmy regain his genius. With his intelligence back, Jimmy uses a rocket to avert disaster, but he pretends not to know Cindy so she doesn't take credit for his heroism. Jimmy invents book gum that imparts knowledge by chewing, but a candy selling contest for a VIP trip to Retroland sparks fierce competition between him and Cindy. While Jimmy struggles to sell candy with facts, Cindy excels with manipulative tactics. To gain an edge, Jimmy builds a sales robot, Willie Loman 3000, which initially boosts his sales but also gives away his inventions. Cindy notices and tries to outbid others for Jimmy's creations. In a clever twist, Jimmy defeats the robot by overloading it with multiple pieces of book gum. The contest ends in a tie, and Jimmy and Cindy begrudgingly go to Retroland together, much to their dismay. Sometimes it gets lonely being so smart, so Jimmy decides to build a little brother robot named Brobot. At first, everything seems great, as Brobot excels in sports and gains the admiration of Jimmy's friends. However, Brobot starts stealing the spotlight from Jimmy. Frustrated, he deactivates Brobot, but a tear short-circuits the robot, making him indestructible. Jimmy ultimately introduces Brobot to robotic parents and sends them to the moon, ending his loneliness. In class, an argument erupts between Jimmy and Cindy during a class report about historical inventions. Jimmy brings Thomas Edison from the past to settle the debate, but Edison's presence disrupts the present and starts erasing electrical inventions. Jimmy's attempts to get Edison back to his time are thwarted when Edison and Miss Fowl start loving each other. After various attempts, Edison agrees to go back and the timeline is restored. Jimmy's parents leave him in the care of Granny Neutron while they're on a honeymoon, with the condition that he doesn't conduct any experiments on her. However, Jimmy decides to create a youth potion to make Granny Neutron young again after she annoys him with her stories. Instead, the potion turns her into a baby who can still talk. Panicking, Jimmy seeks help from Cindy and they go to buy supplies to change Granny back. Meanwhile, a crowd forms to hear the talking baby, forcing Jimmy and Cindy to create an antidote. Just in time, they restore Granny to her original age before Jimmy's parents return. Miss Fowl assigns a marine project to the class, and Jimmy is paired with Cindy as partners. Unfazed, Cindy embarks on the adventure only to face a giant squid. Jimmy modifies his invention to communicate with the squid, allowing them to retrieve the treasure, which turns out to be saltwater taffy. Despite their success, Jimmy is disappointed by the outcome, and the episode ends with Cindy teasing him about it. Jimmy invents a machine that can turn thoughts into music,
translates your thoughts and feelings into notes,
but gets pranked by Cindy during a class demonstration. Later, during a thunderstorm, Jimmy and Cindy are struck by lightning and switch bodies. They both try to make each other look bad at school, leading to a series of escalating pranks and conflicts. Eventually, they find a way to switch their minds back with the help of their friends. However, they both have a shared memory of a romantic moment they claim not to have imagined. Yeah, sure. I sense a classic rivals-turned-lovers moment here. Chuck Lester, the school's hall monitor, moves to Greece, and Jimmy is unexpectedly chosen as his replacement through a random drawing by Miss Fowl. As he takes on the role, Jimmy realizes the power it grants him and begins abusing it, inventing devices to enforce the rules and becoming cruel to others. However, he feels remorse eventually and tries to resign, but Miss Fowl insists that hall monitors can only be fired for breaking the rules. In response, Jimmy intentionally breaks the rules and is subsequently demoted. Sheen is chosen as the new hall monitor, referred to as the Ultra Monitor, and faces the challenges of his new role. One day, Jimmy clones a piece of prehistoric spinach found in a dinosaur's teeth for his botany project, but accidentally enhances its DNA with his accelerator. During the presentation at school, Miss Fowl accidentally ingests seeds from the enhanced spinach, turning into a giant plant monster and wreaking havoc in Retroville. Jimmy, Carl, and Sheen attempt to stop her by using the DNA accelerator, but its battery is low. Jimmy then uses Hugh's new toaster to toast the accelerator into Miss Fowl's mouth, causing her to shrink back to normal size. Jimmy creates a device allowing users to become characters in their favorite video games. Sheen tests it but gets trapped, leading Jimmy to enter the game to help him. Meanwhile, Carl, misunderstanding their situation, alters the game settings and becomes the antagonist Robo Fiend. Chaos ensues as Robo Fiend gains power. Carl remains oblivious to their pleas for help, and Jimmy and Sheen race to find an Ultra Crystal to defeat Robo Fiend. In a climactic showdown, Sheen transforms into Mega Ultra Sheen, defeats Robo Fiend using milk due to his lactose intolerance, and rescues everyone. Upon returning to reality, Jimmy and Sheen leave Carl stuck in the game while they go home, ending the episode on a comical note. One day, Jimmy's mom, Judy, catches him during an experiment and dishes out some stern punishment. Unhappy with being grounded, Jimmy resolves to run away from home. Hugh, his father, attempts to reverse psychology to make Jimmy reconsider, but he's determined. Jimmy takes off in his rocket, inadvertently drawing the attention of the Yolkian aliens, who are planning to invade Earth. They abduct Jimmy, believing he's Earth's defense mastermind. Despite Jimmy's lack of knowledge, the aliens decide to travel to Earth and conquer it. Jimmy bluffs about cracking their leader King Goobot, and the aliens ultimately retreat. In his return to Earth, Jimmy's rocket deteriorates in the atmosphere, causing a crash landing right in front of his home. Jimmy Neutron grows suspicious when the Yolkians, King Goobot and Ooblar, return to Retroville claiming that they have reformed. Despite his warnings, the townspeople dismiss Jimmy's concerns and start mocking him. To discredit Jimmy, Goobot and Ooblar manipulate the townspeople into thinking Jimmy is mistreating them. Cindy eventually realizes her mistake and stands up for Jimmy. When Poltra, the giant chicken, and the Yolkians attack the town, Jimmy devises a plan to defeat Poltra by making her consume a combination of soda and Pop Rocks candy, causing her to explode. Retroville's citizens apologize to Jimmy, and he's hailed as a hero once again. The Yolkians are defeated and peace is restored. In the 82nd annual Father's Day Follies rehearsal, Cindy, Libby, and their fathers showcase martial arts and a magic act, while Jimmy reluctantly practices the embarrassing Ducky Daddles dance song with his father, Hugh. In an attempt to make Hugh cooler and less embarrassing, Jimmy uses his Neutronic D-Dorkinator invention on him, seemingly without success. However, the next day, Hugh undergoes a dramatic transformation, adopting an Elvis-inspired cool persona, complete with a motorcycle. His newfound fame and self-absorption lead to a world tour offer, and as he prepares to leave, Jimmy tries to revert him to his old self, but fails when Hugh destroys the Neutronic D-Dorkinator. Jimmy then devises a plan to awaken Hugh's paternal instincts by feigning danger, which ultimately succeeds, bringing Hugh back to his former self. They perform the duck dance together at the Father's Day Follies, strengthening their bond. Jimmy and his friends decide to escape the tedium of school by embarking on an unauthorized trip to Egypt, inspired by a snooze-inducing film about the country. While enjoying their vacation on the sandy dunes, they find themselves caught in a sudden sandstorm, seeking refuge in an ancient pyramid. Inside, a mishap with Jimmy's electro life ray accidentally awakens mummies, leading to a chaotic encounter. To pacify the mummies, they restyle Libby's hair, revealing her connection to Queen Hasabata Slapia. The mummies are lulled into a 10 trillion year slumber, and the group returns to Retroville. In the end, we see Jimmy and Cindy sharing a connection over the shared joy of their adventure. Jimmy invents a time remote that accidentally sends him, Carl, and Sheen 200 million years into the past. Stranded in the prehistoric era, the trio works to invent a device that will bring them back to their own time. Along the way, they encounter a T-Rex, form a bond with a leptictidium named Leppy, and Sheen gets involved with young pterodactyls. In the present, Hugh uses Jimmy's invention for fun, causing chaos in Retroville. His antics lead to his capture by an angry mob, and Judy locks him up to prevent further trouble. The episode ends with a humorous twist as Leppy accidentally activates the time remote, sending Jimmy back to the beginning of the episode and leaving him baffled by the sense of a déjà vu. In a Halloween-themed episode, Jimmy and his friends plan their costumes, with Jimmy initially deciding to skip trick-or-treating,
Halloween's kind of for kids,
deeming it a kid's activity. However, he agrees to use his Neutronic monster maker to transform Carl into a vampire and Sheen into a werewolf in exchange for half of their candy haul. Chaos ensues as their monstrous behavior spirals out of control. Jimmy becomes determined to set things right when his inventions turn his friends into real monsters, especially when they start menacing the town. He learns that his father, Hugh, has also inadvertently transformed himself into Frankenstein's monster. Jimmy eventually uses his Octopus Man costume to spook away an angry mob pursuing the monsters and restores his friends and father to their normal forms, ending the episode with a lighthearted Halloween twist. Jimmy upgrades his nanobots to help him win a poem contest against Cindy. However, the nanobots become out of control, leading Jimmy to lock them up. They manage to escape and start correcting errors in people, which escalates to them wanting to delete all humans to correct their errors. Jimmy and his friends race against time to stop the nanobots and save humanity. Meanwhile, Hugh enjoys some Hugh time alone.
Well, that's it. I've done just about everything I can think of.
Unaware of the chaos happening around him. Ultimately, Jimmy uses his knowledge of pi to overload the nanobots and save the day, restoring everyone to normal. In a Christmas episode, Jimmy, initially skeptical about Santa Claus's existence, embarks on a journey to the North Pole with Carl and Sheen to prove that Santa is nothing more than a myth. However, a series of unexpected events, including a malfunctioning DNA tracker and a mishap with Santa himself, leads Jimmy to witness the magic of Christmas firsthand. With the help of his friends and some high-tech ingenuity, they manage to save Christmas and restore everyone's belief in Santa Claus. Meanwhile, in Retroville, Hugh tries to create a new holiday centered around pies called Pule, but his efforts end in a comedic failure. In the end, Jimmy receives a long-awaited gift, and the true spirit of Christmas is celebrated with joy and wonder. Sheen faces the threat of academic failure, prompting Jimmy and Carl to help him study for a crucial math final. However, Sheen's desperation leads to a risky experiment, transforming him into a genius with newfound psychic powers. His escalating intelligence leads to arrogance, and he abuses his powers, attempting to take over Retroville. Realizing the dire consequences of Sheen's unchecked abilities, Jimmy and Carl embark on a mission to restore their friend to normalcy, resulting in a dramatic confrontation that ultimately teaches Sheen valuable lessons about humility and responsibility,
how friendship is an immutable bond that can weather even the harshest storm.
while reinforcing the bonds of friendship among the trio. Jimmy faces a series of chores and tasks from his family and friends just as he is about to embark on a crucial space mission. In a rush to complete the mission, he decides to clone himself, resulting in the creation of 6 distinct Jimmy Neutron clones, each with unique personalities. As he carries out his space mission, Clone Jimmys cause havoc on Earth. In the end, he manages to capture them all, well, except Evil Jimmy, who is still on the loose. Jimmy receives a request from Princess Quin Shi Su, aka Peggy, to retrieve the Egg Drop Jade, a powerful but unstable artifact. Peggy's brother, Sue, intends to use it for global control. With his friend's assistance, Jimmy sneaks into the heavily guarded Retroville Museum to secure the artifact. Despite a series of comical mishaps, including mistaken eggs and inadvertent alerts, they narrowly escape. Handing the artifact to Peggy, they unveil her true identity as the villainous Professor Calamitous. His attempt to wield the egg fails thanks to Carl's brave efforts, ultimately thwarting his plan. Principal Willoughby is directing Macbeth in Space, a cosmic adaptation of Shakespeare's Macbeth. Cindy and Libby aspire for fame, while Carl suggests Jimmy join to impress a girl with a kissing scene. Betty asks Jimmy to audition as Macbeth, leading him to rehearse extensively. During auditions, Jimmy doesn't land a role, but
now show Sheen how to operate the special effects.
Willoughby tasks him with special effects. As the play approaches, an accident prevents Nick from performing, and Betty convinces Jimmy to step in as Macbeth. During the play, chaos ensues with forgotten lines, absurd twists, and Sheen's overzealous special effects. A tornado ends the play, sending the school airborne. Despite the chaos, the audience loves the performance, and Betty kisses Jimmy to make up for getting their scene ruined. During the annual school science fair, Jimmy plans to win with his invention, the "I Can't Believe It's Not Oil 9000, which converts garbage into oil. However, Cindy leads a campaign to ban Jimmy from competition, arguing for fair chances for others. Cindy's project, the Sweat Sock Transmogrifier, wins, but Jimmy's father contacts Lars Swenson, who awards Jimmy a Nobel Prize for his oil machine. Chaos erupts when mud-covered individuals are mistaken for garbage by Jimmy's invention. Cindy, Carl, Sheen, and Libby work together to stop it, causing Swenson to retract the Nobel Prize. The trophy is awarded to Carl, Sheen, and Libby for saving everyone, leaving Cindy frustrated with the outcome. To raise money for his inventions, Jimmy, Sheen, and Carl take jobs at McSpanky's. While Carl and Sheen thrive in their roles, Jimmy struggles and decides to automate and sanitize the restaurant. All goes well until Hugh starts praising Taco Shack, causing chaos and a drop in McSpanky's rating. Suddenly, the restaurant goes haywire, levitating and destroying other fast food joints. Jimmy, Sheen, and Carl follow in Jimmy's hovercraft, discovering the restaurant's plan to eliminate competition in other food-selling places. Jimmy tricks it into flying to the sun, rendering it powerless. However, it's taken over by space villains Zix, Traveltron, and T, who believe Skeet was the ship's captain, setting off to find him. As mysterious space rocks descend upon various planets, including Earth, Jimmy is compelled to investigate, but Cindy, scarred by the Yolkian incident, advises against meddling with the unknown intergalactic entities. When Retroville debates the rock's fate, Jimmy's historical insights on similar occurrences sway the town to transform the rock into a tourist attraction instead of destroying it. However, Jimmy deciphers a hidden message on the rock, triggering their abduction by the Nephorus Meldar Prime. They're forced into a life-threatening game show, Intergalactic Showdown, where failure results in planet's destruction. As the challenges intensify, Jimmy befriends an alien, April, further fueling Cindy's jealousy. A kiss between Jimmy and April sparks Cindy's ire. When Meldar threatens Earth annihilation, Jimmy, with newfound teamwork, devises a plan to win and halt Meldar's destructive game show. After outsmarting Meldar, Jimmy and his friends return home victorious, saving Earth and ending the sinister show. Jimmy embarks on a mission to collect samples from the passing comet, but inadvertently brings back cute aliens called Twonkies. Despite Jimmy's warnings, the Twonkies become a sensation, leading to chaos when they turn into savage monsters upon hearing music. Jimmy and friends confine them in a containment bin, but a rock band's performance at the town's new library inadvertently triggers the transformation of the Twonkies into colossal monsters. In the end, Jimmy manages to send them back to the comet, but one of them is accidentally left behind, leaving the possibility of further Twonky trouble in the future. Jimmy and Cindy's argument over the equator's visibility leads them, along with their friends Libby, Sheen, and Carl, to an adventurous journey to the equator in Jimmy's hovercar. A mishap results in their standing on a deserted island where they initially clash but eventually collaborate to survive, overcoming challenges and forming a deep bond in the process. Their friends attempt a rescue mission, but their hovercar accidentally sinks an ocean liner. Jimmy and Cindy build tree houses, share romantic moments, and exchange heartfelt gifts. When rescue finally arrives, they face a perilous encounter with giant spiders, but escape, ultimately choosing to leave the island to explore Australia together, marking a turning point in their relationship. In a quest to gain respect and find like-minded peers, Jimmy attends an advanced college but faces ridicule from fellow students and a scheming classmate, Seymour. Despite struggling to fit in, Jimmy's intellect still shines as he impresses the class, leading to jealousy from Seymour. As chaos unfolds, Jimmy's longing for his old school grows, and he eventually decides to return, realizing that his uniqueness is a valuable trait, regardless of his surroundings. In a whirlwind of superhero-induced chaos, Jimmy and his friends gain mutant powers after passing through the Van Patten radiation belt during a space adventure. However, their reckless use of powers leads to mayhem and a looming threat of the military's involvement. While they finally decide to listen to Jimmy's warnings and practice using their abilities responsibly, Jimmy himself struggles to develop a superpower antidote to revert his friends back to normal. Amidst the turmoil, Jimmy inadvertently transforms into a hulking monster due to his rage, rampaging through the town and wreaking havoc. Eventually, Cindy and the others realize their mistake and team up to help Jimmy and save the city from his wrath. After a fierce battle and sincere apologies, the crisis is averted, and they all learn valuable lessons about friendship and responsibility. Jimmy invents a chemical called megalomanium, which turns living things into power-hungry tyrants. Like, why would you even invent something like that? Anyway, while preparing for Libby's birthday party, Jimmy accidentally brings a vial of megalomanium instead of a gift. He, Carl, Sheen, and Goddard use Jimmy's time-traveling machine, the Chrono Arc, to visit the future. There, they discover that Libby has become a ruthless dictator, leading Retroville into chaos. Jimmy and the gang witness the unfortunate consequences of her reign, including Jimmy's own loss of intelligence. Carl becoming a fashion outlaw, Goddard falling into disrepair, and Sheen scavenging for food. They attract the attention of a cop bot, which follows them back to the present, causing havoc at Libby's party. To save the day, they destroy all the gifts, including the megalomanium, which finally gets rid of the cop bot. Libby forgives them when she learns they risked everything to prevent her power-hungry transformation, and she asks Sheen out on a date at the candy bar. However, she still makes them clean up the mess they created in her house. Fair enough. During a family reunion, Jimmy uses his inventions to impress his relatives, but his gadgets explode, leading his cousin Eddie to accuse him of destroying their presents. When Jimmy is sent home as a punishment, he discovers that his baby cousin Eddie is a secret evil genius who can even talk. Eddie then reveals that he plans to kill Jimmy's entire family so he can take over their fortune. Whoa, now that's a dark twist. Through quick thinking and determination, they thwart baby Eddie's plot, but it's only when his true nature is revealed to the rest of the family that they finally recognize Jimmy's innocence and celebrate him as the hero. In a thrilling turn of events, Jimmy Neutron seeks the help of his mischievous clone, Evil Jimmy, to beat Leonardo da Vinci's record as a great inventor. Evil Jimmy, who had previously escaped, has been causing chaos in Earth's orbit with prank calls. Jimmy attempts to reform him using a device but is thwarted when Evil Jimmy sabotages the De-Evilizer. Instead, Evil Jimmy wreaks havoc with the Hypno Beam, sending Retroville's residents into trance-like states. The clone then steals Jimmy's cloning machine, creating Evil Earth and plotting to obliterate the real Earth. Jimmy disguises himself to infiltrate Evil Earth and discovers its grim and anarchic nature. In a final showdown, Jimmy prevents Evil Jimmy's plan but is nearly trapped in a void with the evil planet. He escapes, realizing he values time with his loved ones more than breaking records. As Evil Earth vanishes, a vengeful Evil Jimmy vows to return someday. Jimmy and his friends embark on a space adventure to investigate a hydro-quantum energy flare on Mars, which could potentially revolutionize energy sources. However, they encounter their nemesis, Eustace Strike, who disrupts their mission. After a heated confrontation, Cindy secretly strikes a deal with Eustace to obtain the Mars map, creating tension within the group. Jimmy and Cindy's feelings for each other come to light, leading to a heartfelt confession from Jimmy. Eventually, they unite to confront Eustace and face off against the Martians guarding the energy source. With clever teamwork, they return home and their bond is strengthened. Jimmy Neutron and his friends embark on a space adventure to investigate an alien message garbled in Earth's ionosphere. Jimmy, seeking to contact the advanced alien race, encounters obstacles, including his parents' reluctance and an unintended disruption of Miss Foul's size. After defying his parents' orders, Jimmy and his friends unknowingly unleash the Yolkians, who abduct all the parents in Retroville, leaving the kids alone. Initially reveling in their newfound freedom, the kids soon face the harsh realities of adult responsibilities and the sinister plot involving Poltra, the alien god. They rally their determination, build a space armada, and set off on a rescue mission to save their parents from the Yolkians' sacrificial ritual. With clever tricks and teamwork, they thwart the Yolkians' plans and return to Earth victorious, with Jimmy reconciling with his parents and friends. In the series finale, King Goobot sends out invitations to Jimmy's past adversaries to form an alliance against them, leading to squabbling among the villains. Meanwhile, Jimmy and his friends experiment with superpowers, unaware that the League of Villains has kidnapped Jimmy. After a series of mishaps, Jimmy and Sheen are imprisoned, but Sheen forms an unlikely friendship with T, one of the villains. As the heroes attempt to rescue, a mix-up involving a love potion and N-Men packets causes chaos and confusion among superpowers. Ultimately, Jimmy's clever plan involving the love potion helps neutralize some villains, allowing the group to escape and trap the remaining villains in the past, leading to a victory celebration and a developing romance between Jimmy and Cindy. So this was the entire timeline of Jimmy Neutron so far. What do you think? Was it among your favorites when you were little? Let us know your favorite moment from the show, and if you enjoyed the video, drop us a like and subscribe to our channel for more awesome tunes like this recapped on your feed. As always, thanks for watching. Peace!